Well, it's the morning of day 6. Gonna start out here at Mountain Crossings, Neel Gap. They say, I don't know, 70–80% of the hikers give up at this point. And what they do is toss their boots and shoes up into the trees. Did a little resupply there this morning, got some bars and a couple of things for lunch.
Right. No, I carried my backpack up.
And this is the only covered section on the AT. And then the trail heads off up into the tracks. Yo, yo! Skylar on the AT. How's everybody this morning? Spent the night last night in Blairsville, Georgia. So, got into Mountain Crossings after coming down Blood Mountain. Plan was to try to get a cabin there, Blood Mountain cabins, but they were all full, first come, first serve. Guess I wasn't fast enough. Found a place at Misty Mountain Inn. Nice gentleman, Craig, man, he'll go out of his way to make sure you get what you need. And a real nice cabin, comfy bed, shower, everything you could ask for. Drove me down to the gas station, the Booger Hollow store. Got me a Once Brother pizza and some beer. Went back to the cabin and just chilled. Made a couple repairs on gear, inspected stuff. Slept great. Got back about 9 o'clock this morning, back to the trail. Did a little bit of resupply, got some lunches and breakfast. Had dinners to go around, I guess. So, up and out of town. Pack's heavy again. Extra food in the growler stop. Tell you what, up out of Neel Gap, boy, that's a pretty good climb coming up out of there and a steep downhill. It's been some pretty good climbing up and down since then too, so. Beautiful, beautiful day. Loving life, living a dream. This is from near the summit of Wildcat Mountain. Tell you what, man, that is a climb up out of that whatever Titsy Gap or whatever the hell they call it down there, man. Wildcat Mountain is no joke. That mountain over here. There it is, over here. We just came up and over that, down into the gap. And trail magic at the bottom, that was awesome. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, about 7 p.m. I'm sitting outside here at the Super 8 Motel in Helen, Georgia. I thought I'd give you guys an update on what's been going on the last couple days. So, came down Blood Mountain and made it to Neels Gap and found a nice room over at the Misty Mountain Inn and had a good time over there. And for whatever reason, I did a lot of gear inspection at the cabin and a couple gear repairs, and my sleeping mat had acted like it had a slow leak. So I was looking for a leak, and while the process of looking for the leak, one of the baffles blew out. So I promptly got on the phone with the manufacturer, who was going to ship one to me in Hiawassee. It should be there Friday, which is all good. So I'm thinking, all right, well, next morning comes along, get shuttled back to the trail there at Neels Gap, quick little resupply at mountain crossings, and hit the trail about my normal 9:15 in the morning. That's really no joke climbing out of Neels Gap either, too. That's a pretty long, significant climb out of there and a fairly significant downhill. Keep pressing on out of there, and I come down into Tesnatee Gap, and King Tut is down there. He's doing up trail magic, and he's got water, which was a good thing because hadn't seen a whole lot of water. So lots of water, snacks. He had first aid gear. He had everything a hiker possibly could want, and they were even giving away hand crocheted beanies. So I sat down there and had some peanut butter crackers and a big giant payday bar, and tried to slug down as much water and some Gatorade as I could. And then the temperature started picking up, and it was a big old climb up Wildcat Mountain out of that gap, and it was hot, and that was beating people up. It was pretty tough. 11 and a half miles into Low Gap that day, and I didn't really think I got there too late, man, but I got there and there's just people everywhere. I mean, the bubble I'm in must be 50 to 70 people big. So camping sites were very, very limited. I had a less than ideal camping site, pitched on an incline and everything else. So got my chores done, got my water, cooked some dinner. About halfway through dinner, the thunder starts, so I had pretty good cell signal, so I checked my radar app. It looked like it was gonna miss, so I kept eating dinner, and then 5-10 minutes later, thunder sounds a little bit closer, so I checked the radar app again, and man, the storms are just exploding. They're just booming. So I started hauling all my stuff to the tent, and I tell you what, man, we had some weather roll through. I mean, some serious weather. Severe thunderstorm warnings, pounding rain. Talked to some other hikers this morning that were camped further up trail that had hail. One line went through. It paused for a while. I got out and I rechecked my tent stakes and tightened my tent and made sure everything was good. And then the second line blew through, and then after the second line blew through, and just like deep down over the hill, you could hear the wind brewing, and it was loud, and it was coming, and it kept coming and coming and coming. By the time it got to camp, I don't know what it was, a 50-mile-an-hour gust or something, boy, but it ripped one of my tent stakes loose, and tent kind of collapsed. I put it back up. From inside, I was able to just get the trekking pole put back in place. Started seeing headlamps pop up all over the place. I don't know what other people had occurred, but it was some pretty serious weather. And in the midst of all that, when I went to lay on my sleeping pad, it was like a boom! It blew another baffle, so it's just got like a huge... It's like trying to sleep on a exercise ball or something, so it was less than ideal sleeping. But yeah, I noticed it back as early as Lance Creek that there was a lot of campers, so laying there in my less than ideal sleeping conditions in a stormy weather, I decided that, you know, I was going to try to push through, maybe get ahead of this bubble or out of the bubble or something. So I was wide awake at 5:45, 6 o'clock, started packing up. You know, I was up and out of the tent at 7 o'clock, and it was dark. Had goals of, you know, climbing up out of Unicoi Gap and, you know, sleeping up there. And walked about 20 minutes with a headlamp on in the dark and the fog. And I got a good head start, good jump on everybody, man. And I made good time today. Like the last 2 miles into Blue Mountain Shelter are pretty rugged, as well as the downhill from Blue Mountain to Unicoi is pretty rugged. But got down to the bottom of Unicoi Gap, and there's a bunch of Georgia Tech Christian ministry students or something. They were serving hamburgers and snacks and sodas, and so I had a couple hamburgers and a Gatorade, and I'm sitting there looking at the hill I'm supposed to go up, and it occurred to me that, hey, I could just come to town and not have to sleep on an exercise ball. So shortly after deciding I was going to do that, I tried to hitchhike for like 5 minutes, 3 cars, and then a ex-BrewHiker pulls in the parking lot and jumps out of his truck and says, "Anybody need a ride?" So he gave me a ride down into hell, and I'm here at the Super 8. You know, quaint little town. It's like a German town, you know, modeled after a German town. I'm sure very touristy in the summer. It's nice to walk around. But the goal is to get back to the trail tomorrow, hopefully by 9, and, you know, put in another 7 to 9 miles, and then hopefully, you know, meeting some family on Friday at Dix Creek. So gives me one night on what's left of the sleeping pad that I've got before I get the new one. But starting to see, you know, even in Neels Gap, I saw a couple people give up in Neels Gap, mostly of the older persuasion. But within the younger persuasion of people, I am starting to see a lot of injuries. Lots of blisters. Some of them severe enough that I'm not sure they're going to be able to push along too much further with the blisters that they've got. People complaining of foot pain, you know, plantar fasciitis, even though they won't admit that it is plantar fasciitis or do anything to try to support their arches or roll their arches or do anything to prevent that. They just think it'll go away, which I doubt it is. And several rolled ankles, multiple rolled ankles, and starting to see knee issues too. You know, thankfully, I don't have any of those. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I don't have anything that hurts. Just your average sore, you know, from pushing and hiking. But you know, I don't have any injuries or any pending injuries or anything that I feel coming. Everything is good. So, but you know, last night at camp with the storm rolling in, I didn't get any video. And I took some today, but I really didn't have any narration in it. And I just thought I'd, you know, sit down and fill you in on what's going on. So all is well on the trail, living the dream. Back at it in the morning after a good night's sleep on a bed that's better than a busted up sleeping pad. So, all right. Hope everybody's safe at home. Well, good morning, everybody. It's the morning of day 8. Sitting here on a log at Indian Grave Gap. Left Unicoi Gap about 90 minutes ago. Gotta love me some staircases first thing in the morning. Whoever maintains that section loves staircases. Staircases up, staircases down. It's about 90 minutes, 2.7 miles up and over, so that's a good thing. Feeling strong this morning, and my body, I can feel my body adjusting. Balance is getting better, legs are getting stronger. I wouldn't say that I push up and over the hills, but you know, I grind up them pretty steadily now instead of grinding and stopping and grinding and stopping. So, also found that I enjoy hiking with music. Kind of walk better with a rhythm, I guess. You know, especially going downhill, I tend to walk with a good rhythm, so that helps a lot. When I left this morning, I have 2 days to cover 16.7 miles. So today, I really don't know what the plan is. Up and over, or at least up to Tray Mountain, there's a shelter there. I'll probably push past that a few miles and maybe try to make it a shorter day into Dix Creek Gap and Hiawassee this weekend. But don't have any firm plans, destinations in mind. Very peaceful out here today. It's probably in the 40s, good hiking weather. Only seen a handful of people so far, so it's been really, really good. Not always very good about where I'm heading, but I believe back behind there, that's Tray Mountain, so I think that's where I'm going. It's a long, steady uphill climb out of here, so I'll check back later. That's where I'm at, or near the summit of Tray Mountain. Thursday night, day 8. That's the AT. That's the way we came in. Camping tonight at Addis Gap. Only 2 other campers here so far. And that's the AT there, headed uphill, northbound. I camped over here. There's my food. And there's home for the night there. Hey everybody, it's the afternoon of day 9. I'm sitting out here on the balcony in my hotel room in Hiawassee. So last night with that foobarred messed up sleeping pad, man, that was a long night. Blew it up a little bit, you know, and tried to get comfortable on it, which is nearly impossible. So ended up pretty much sleeping on the cold ground. Cold, hard ground all night long, so it was a pretty difficult night. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Finally, this morning about 7 o'clock, found a warm place on the ground and a comfortable place, and was able to get a couple hours sleep. So I didn't get out of camp until about 10. Right out of camp, probably 30-degree pitch, mile-long climb, followed by a mile-long down, and didn't get any trail footage today because really it was pretty challenging terrain. It was you know, the climbs today weren't too bad, but man, there was a punishing downhill, man. I'm used to getting beat up going uphill, but man, I was getting pounded going downhill. Came at it. It took it was 5.5 miles. Took me, I think, 2.5 hours, something like that. I don't know. Legs were tired. I think my legs, my body knows that I'm resting tomorrow, so they were sort of just shutting down ahead of time. But came out of Dix Creek Gap, and there was a group from the Warrior expedition there, and she had some warm chicken and chocolate and Mountain Dews and cold beer. So since I was done for the day, I didn't eat any of the food. I had 2 or 3 of her beers, but and then caught a top of the Georgia shuttle, top of Georgia Hostel, caught their shuttle down in here into Hiawassee. So just wanted to let everybody know what was going on. Take a 0 day tomorrow, maybe go do a little touristy sightseeing kind of things, look around, grab me some food, maybe some barbecue, maybe some Mexican, maybe both, who knows. But we'll see. Doing good.